It's Kellen, and today you guys are in for a treat. This treat might disappear, it might reappear because I have Randy Shine, a magician, full-time magician who's done this worldwide. You might not have seen a magician that looks like this, and he comes highly recommended from our past guest, Brian Miller, who you guys really enjoyed that game. So Randy Shine, welcome to Diversified Game. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here.
Man, Randy, we started to talk, and I mean, you just opened up a can of worms that just, threw me off with the Africa talk, because everybody knows I love to talk about Africa. But tell me about your journey into magic, because that's not an easy career field to get into. How did all this begin?
Okay. Well, here's the story. Let me start off by saying that I got started in magic not when I was young, not when I was a kid. I like to say I was well adjusted when I was a kid. I played soccer, wrestling, and chess. Those were my things, the things that I was interested in. It wasn't until I got into college, more specifically graduate school, and two things happened within the span of a month. I was TAing a class, and one of my students showed me a magic trick after the class. And then my roommate, who was my fraternity brother, he showed me a magic trick. And that, I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. So me and a couple of guys started a club, a magic club at Penn State, where I was getting my graduate degree in health education. It was just for fun, that's all. After I got my degree, I moved to South Africa because I was doing research at the University of the Western Cape in Cape Town, South Africa. Met some magicians down there because there's this place called the College of Magic in Cape Town. It's a nonprofit arts organization, but they just called it the College of Magic. And I went there and I just started being a guest lecturer there while I was doing research at the University of Western Cape. Down there for like a year, came back to the United States, picked up a job, left that job, and started working at the University of Pennsylvania in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics doing research. At the same time, I was working on my PhD in public health. And then after a year doing both of those things, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do magic for a living. So I quit all of that, quit my job, dropped out of the PhD program, and I said, I'm gonna give myself 1 year. Well, if I don't make it in 1 year, I'll go back. Well, it's been 16 years and I've never stepped my foot in that university again or a job. So I've been performing literally 27 different countries, TV shows, and you name it, corporate shows, cruise ships, all types of events I've been performing. It's been a wonderful life. It's been a great journey.
Wow. That is, I love the courage to be able to stop all of that to do magic. Was it naturally that you were just gifted in it?
So you know what? That's interesting because people who've seen me perform, they always said, you have a natural talent for it. And actually, when I jumped right into it, other magicians would ask me, you've been doing this for a long time. I'm like, no, I just started maybe a year or two ago when I initially started. They're like, wow, you're really gifted for this. So I didn't think I was gifted, but other people in the industry and outside the industry say, hey, this is just natural to you. It is a gift for you. So I'll take that.
So when you started as an adult, how many hours did you have to put in?
Oh, just like anything else, you put in a lot of time perfecting your craft, creating, reading, studying, tweaking. It takes a lot of time. So that 10,000 hour rule that we hear so often, yeah, I'll put in probably more than that. And I'm continuing to put more time into that because you always have to stay fresh and relevant. So you always have to come up with new effects, new ideas, new ways of presenting, new clients. So I'm always putting in a lot of time.
What did your family say when you said, hey, I've dropped out of doing my PhD, I'm going to become a magician?
So that's funny. Well, quite frankly, Friends, family, everybody thought I was crazy. They really did. They thought that, oh my gosh, this guy just went off and joined the circus. And what's wrong with him? No, seriously. My parents were just like, I don't know about this boy right here. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the siblings, but him. But that speaks to a larger thing to me. I understand the parents, because the parents always want the best for their children and they want security for their children. But now, now and even maybe 5 years into it, when I started, friends and family, they will come to a show, see me performing. They're like, yo, man, I wish I could find something that I'm passionate about that I could make a living off of, because I hate my job. I really hate my job, and it's just a check for me, but that's about it. And to me, the bigger lesson is this: you have to pursue what you're gifted, what you're talented to do, and the income will follow. It really would. I'm a testament to that. The income will follow. Time to time, people would say, well, do you ever regret? And I'm like, no, it's the best decision I made. And they said, well, how are you doing financially? And I said, well, let me put it to you this way. I paid off my entire undergrad and master's degree student loans just by performing magic. Wow. Just by performing magic. So let's put that in perspective right there. So yes, you can make a career doing virtually anything, and even doing card tricks. The second thing people often say is, they're like, at least you have something to fall back on. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But what am I going to tell an employer? Like, I'll go into an interview and I say, for the past 16 years, I've been doing card tricks, right? What redeemable skills do I have? I say that tongue in cheek because there are some skills you have, because 10% of what I do is on stage. 90% of what I do is off stage. That's the business, that's the accounting, that's the marketing. It's those types of things. But yeah, you just got to go out there and do it. No one questioned Dave Chappelle. They look at him now, but they don't know his grind. I like to say, because my last name is Shine, I like to say, you know my shine, but you don't know my grind. How did I have to get to this point? And that's for anybody, man. I'm always like empowering and encouraging people. Hey, if you want to do something, if you're passionate, it's not going to be easy. It's not. But it can be done. And I have this like formula that I like to share with people that I would guarantee you will be successful if you follow these 3 steps. And those are, number one, you have to have passion. And that's the easy part. And let's use basketball, for example, because I have some friends who are really into basketball. They could tell you the stats, they could tell you the players, they could tell you the history, they could tell you everything about basketball because they have that passion. They look at ESPN every day. Mm-hmm. They go on NBA.com, passionate. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you have to have the talent or skill. Now, it's either natural to you or you have to go out and get it. And so how do you get it? Well, you go to school, find a mentor, trade school, Google. That's what you do. I know some people who are in careers just because they taught themselves off of videos they watched on YouTube. And they're in some great careers right now. Actually, it's a relative of mine. He taught himself how to design websites. And for the past 10 years, that's all. He works for a company that develops websites and do some other things at the back end of websites. But he doesn't have a degree in it. He just looked online and taught himself. Books. So you have to get the talent and the skill. Now, the third thing, the final thing is the most important thing. And you won't know until you start this journey. And that is you have to have the temperament. And what I mean by that is this. Let's use basketball again as an analogy. You're in college. You're on a basketball team. You got to get up. You got to go to the gym, 6 o'clock in the morning, work out. After that, breakfast. After that, class. After class, you got to go on a court, practice, run drills, run plays, and then you got to do it all over again. When the college semester is over, it's not done. because someone is trying to get your spot and you're trying to get to the NBA. So you still have to stay in shape. You still have to go, you may go to clinics. You may work on your shots or drills over the summer break. And you continue to do this with the hopes and dreams that you're going to get into the NBA. Then once you get into the NBA, that's a whole different ball game. And so you have to deal with the injuries. People always in your face. And if you're a superstar, you're going to be pulled in all directions, sponsorships, agents, and everything like that. Do you have the temperament to deal with that? Do you have the temperament to deal with, man, I just sprained my ankle. I'm out for a couple weeks. What am I going to do? That's a mental strain. And so even what's going on now with all the entertainers, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, with this crisis, this is the test to see if you're built for this. So, and do you know how to pivot? And so do you have the temperament to deal with all that? So if you have all three of those things, I guarantee you will be successful. Now, success is how you define it. It may be A-list celebrity status. It may be something else. But I will tell you one thing in meeting people and performing. Just because you don't know someone, just because they're not on TV, just because their songs are not played on the radio, doesn't mean they're not successful. There's a whole lot of entertainers out here who have a great following, touring, selling out small venues, whether they're comedians, singers, bands, magicians, whatever, that you may not even heard of. And they're doing extremely well. They just don't have that spotlight on. And I could give you an example of a group now they're famous, but for a long time, they had a niche following, and that's the Roots, right here from Philadelphia. They were performing on the corners of South Street in Philadelphia. And then they even went to overseas, and that's where they did their first album, Organics, came back here. They had a following like you couldn't believe. They weren't selling out major stadiums, concert halls, or anything like this, but they had a great following. And you would go to Houston, Texas, and they're sold out. Yeah, maybe it's a place that only held 3,000, 5,000 people, but they were sold out. And you go to another city, they're sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. And they just kept on grinding. And look where they are. They're the house band for Jimmy Fallon, and they're doing their own little independent things. Questlove is always a music director for some type of award show or something like that. Wrote books. Tyreek, the Black Thought, he's doing all types of things. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love the Roots story. I'm from the Bay Area, from Oakland. So the Roots and even Tech Nine. And I said,
yes,
folks,
yes.
You know, and so I totally feel you. But let the people know. So when you quit all of that, to going from, I've practiced, I'm going to quit in a fairly quick time. Then how do I get my first gig? And how do I then say I'm a professional at this? Because people have a hard time pivoting, saying, hey, I'm doing something, for the love. Now I'm going to charge you, and then I'm going to charge you a premium because now I've perfected it. So how do you go from your first gig then to saying, hey, this is my premium price? And how long is that time period for you? Okay.
So fortunate for me, the friends that I met in college that we were just doing magic for fun, one of them became an agent. So when I quit, I called him up. And he was just a local agent. So he booked gigs in Philadelphia, Jersey, Delaware, New York. Okay? The Quad State area, I like to call it. So I called him up and I said, Brian, I quit my job. I want to become a full-time magician now. He said, great, I got your back. That week, he had me lined up doing gigs. Now, there weren't any big gigs. They were just doing like birthday parties, summer community events, festivals, those types of things. And so that's where it started. So I was great. This was great. And so he was able to charge a premium to the clients for me. Once I had some skin in the game and I started learning, and Brian was it wasn't the Brian that contacted you, it was a different Brian. Once I had some skin in the game and I just started studying, and actually I started studying business, just getting books and reading magazines and taking those principles and applying it to magic in terms of the business side, then I knew that I could do this on my own. But still, you need an agent for certain types of gigs. So I found an agent that will represent me for the college market. And then I found an agent who will represent me for cruise ships. But the way I look at it, and it's kind of like based on the Tech Nine model. I'm glad that you said it, because I saw this interview. Tech Nine and his partner, they have it. Their business model is 30%, 33%, 33%, 33%, which is merch, tours, and album downloads and sales. Mine is agent and then me. So it's 50-50. So my agents are specifically just for cruise ships, just for colleges. The rest is me in terms, and then that's my network and me advertising and marketing and things of that nature. So that's how I have it. And so then I'm confident enough now that I can charge a premium. Another thing that helped me out is when you're on television, whether it's local or national television, every time you're on television, you can increase your rate, because now people perceive you as someone, it's social proof. They're like, this guy's legitimate.
Yeah. The TV, I mean, the TV push. What was your first TV show that you did?
Oh, believe it or not, it was just a local TV show here in Philadelphia. They were just doing a segment of a show that I was producing called The Heart and Soul of Magic. That's when The Heart and Soul of Magic started. That was the first TV show. It's just local in the tri-state area, which is Philadelphia, Jersey, and Delaware. Then the next one, believe it or not, I filmed a commercial for a bank in Portugal. That was the next one. And then I did Penn and Teller Fool Us, and then various cities where I was performing, they were like, hey, Randy Shine is going to be performing at this place, and I get on TV, do a little spot. So yes, you leverage that.
And how long did it take for your family then? Because when you're being an entrepreneur, you're on this tightrope by yourself a lot of times, and you have to go build up your tribe. And when you have family who I've done this for almost 20 years, and people, all right, what do you do? And they don't believe that. And I could only assume with magic, what do you do? And so when did they start coming on board saying, hey, we support you, and we're going to give you that support that you need to go to the next level?
I think they all came aboard at different times. My parents, they came on board when they saw me perform, when they came to one of my big shows here in Philadelphia. And then they were like, oh my gosh, all right, this is legit what my son is doing. And then something happened. They thought about, like, wow, he hasn't even asked us for money. He need to borrow money, so he must be okay, right? So I think that's when my parents came on board, when I did a big show in Philadelphia with me and a couple other magicians. My sisters, my oldest brother, he was always on board. My younger sister and my older sister, it took them a while. And I think when I got my first TV spot, that's when they came on board. They were like, okay, my brother's doing this now. I understand. He can make a living. It's okay now. He's all right.
Awesome. And the fact that, you do have the grad school and, there are so many things that you learn in grad school, especially teaching. I tell people, if you didn't teach in grad school, wow, you missed out on
Yes, you did. You did.
I had a professor tell me, hey, could you go teach my website class? Because I've been teaching it 2 years and I don't even know how to build a website. And I'm like, what?
Right. Right. And so it's the skills that I've learned being in school that's translatable. So one of the things what I'm doing tomorrow, it's interesting you brought up teaching. Since I've taught and I understand that, and teaching is a skill, tomorrow I'm doing a lecture for the Society of American Magicians online platform. So last week they had 1,000 viewers. So this is natural to me. Teaching what I know, first of all, then teaching magic to a bunch of magicians. Oh, this is going to be great. So yeah, you're right. Those skills that I learned in grad school are transferable skills.
Now, when you're doing, something that's out of the box, and every time someone says they want to start a business, there's a risk. I remember the first time that I saw like what I call I love magic, and I'm not a magician, but the first time I was on an HBCU tour, and little did I know who this person was or who they become now, but you know him as Kendrick Ice McDonald, and he was on the tour with us, and he was doing magic, and he's levitating, and we're like, what's going on? And through my years, even in high school, I would meet other kids who want to do magic, and they didn't look like me. They didn't come from, where we came from. But I tell them, they're like, wait, you know who? And how do you know who the masked magician is? Because at the time, no one knew. And I'm like, well, I met this magician and, and so, Kendrick Ice McDonald is like, when I see him now and I see what he's become, and I saw him in the documentary that you were in, how quick did you find folks like that who are mentors who look like you? Because magic, I mean, it's not a lot of probably dreadlock magicians who look like you. So, was that important to find someone that looked like you that did it, that could help you with the task?
Yeah. First of all, let me say, Ice is my man. Definitely. And I'm going to tell you the importance of finding someone that looks like you as it relates to Ice. But let's go back to college. A friend of mine said, do you know this gentleman named Hiawatha? And I'm like, who's Hiawatha? And he said, oh, here. He passed me this magazine. And it was a magic magazine, Genie magazine. And it was a picture of an African-American magician on the cover of this magazine. And he was in a dashiki. He had an African walking stick. And I'm like, yo, someone that looks like me who's a magician. Wow. And he's on the cover of a magic magazine. This is a big deal. My friend let me have I had the magazine to this day. Well, several years later, I met Hiawatha at this conference. And we're friends to this day. And it was just like, yo, you met someone that looked like you, who's in this field, who's very highly respected. When you go to magic conferences and gatherings, it's not a lot of us. So Ice McDonald, I met him through another Black magician, African-American magician in Florida, because I wanted to do that show, Heart and Soul of Magic. And I'm like, I need to find some Black magicians. So I called my friend Puck in Florida. He put me in contact with Ice. Ice flew over, and Ice, Puck, me, and a couple other magicians, we did the show. That's what's my introduction to Ice. Then Ice, we so happened to be at another magic convention, and Ice said, we were talking, and I said, Randy, let's take some time. We're going to get away, and we're going to talk. Ice was the one who taught me, and actually he literally put together my first press kit. And he said, you need a press kit. And this press kit is going to get you gigs because you're going to send this out to clients, potential clients. And Ice, at that meeting, he said, when this convention is over, When you go home, I want you to send me pictures, do a bio, give me everything you have that you've done. Ice literally put it together for me and sent it to me in the mail. So he's very instrumental in mentoring me about some of the business stuff and side of magic, and helping me navigate not just performing for regular people, but navigating the magic community. Because like anything else, there's a community. If you're a writer, there's this whole writer community. If you're a poet, it's that. Even if you're, no matter, there's always some type of community for something, of people of like minds, like interests. And so he taught me how to navigate that and how to use that to network, to get on other things, to get for other opportunities. So Ice was very instrumental in that. And together, Ice and I and three other magicians, we formed this organization called the International Association of Black Magical Artists. Ice was the first president of that. Actually, simultaneously, Ice was the president of that, and he was the first African-American president of the Society of American Magicians, the national body. So he had his hands full, and he's very instrumental in the magic community, not just in the Black magic community. But he's one of the pillars. He's definitely one of the pillars.
And you say black magic, there's the dark side of magic, but if you put in black magicians, it's like dark magic still
Right.
is popping up, and it's like, oh, okay, we can't. But I want to tie that in because my wife being from Africa, trying to have her go to her first show, and as a kid we all played with cards, and I just found out, I was like, man, I'm a cheat. I'm not a magician. But when you talk in Africa about magic, sometimes people might be like, wait, hold on, what type of voodoo or whatever that you're doing, and it just depends who you're talking to. So can you talk about how magic might be different in Africa, and is it different in Africa? And also, we're going to get into that dark magic conversation and your opinion on that.
Whew, man. All right, this is complex because it's not just in Africa how magic is viewed. It's also what you'll find in religious circles here in America. Okay? Don't do magic, that's witchcraft. And historically, I'm gonna give you a couple perspectives. Historically, there wasn't a separation between mathematics, science, religion, and magic. Historically, it wasn't. They all were tied in together. And for some, the principles are intertwined. Some of the scientific principles that are out there, magicians, we utilize them to create our illusions and do our thing. So you got to look at it that way. Then the other thing is that there is other perspective that there is definitely a distinction between the two, because one deals with supernatural elements, forces, and the other one does not. It deals with misdirection, physical misdirection, psychological misdirections, and also, as I said previously, exploiting scientific principles to create this illusion. And then you have some people that they combine both, the supernatural and the magic as entertainment. So they combine both. And so, and from a historical perspective, I look at it this way. The best example I could give is from the Bible, whether you believe it or not, but just follow me with this. Where Moses went to Pharaoh and said, he threw down his rod and it turned into a snake. And Pharaoh said, oh, my magicians could do the same thing. They threw down their rod and it turned into a snake. And Moses' snake ate the magician's rod. So basically, snake. So basically, right there was a battle between the supernatural, which was Moses, and Pharaoh's magicians, whom Pharaoh said, hey, I have magicians that could do the same thing. So I think that there's both of that in this world. But then what is black magic? And I can get deeper into that. Is it black magic because it comes from Africa and has nothing to do with the skin, but it's the what is the word I'm looking for? Anything that comes out of Africa is not good mentality, so it must be bad. So it's black magic, not just because of the melanin in the skin, but it's just bad because nothing good's come out of it. So it's complex. You follow me with that? I see you smiling there.
Yeah. Well, no, because I've seen it. Like, I've seen it, and people say, "What do you mean?" I say, "You wouldn't believe it." It's like I could tell you something out of the scriptures, and you won't believe that either.
Right.
Some things you'd have to see to believe, and so.
Right. And even if sometimes people see stuff and they don't believe it. And I will also say that anything can be used for bad. Anything could be used for bad. Look at the internet. It's a tool, but people are using it for bad to steal money out of people's accounts and things of that nature. Does it make using social media and technology a bad thing? No, it's just people use it for bad. I'm gonna just throw this out there. Some people are like, oh my gosh, the Bible is bad. The Bible's used to, the Bible's was manipulated to justify slavery with the Hermetic hypothesis. Does it make the Bible bad? No, it was how it was used. And so, but we can get into that debate at another time, but about all of that. But when I'm saying it's how it was used. Yeah. So you could go down the line of different things in history that was the intention was for good, but someone found a way to use it for bad. So when you look at magic and what people are doing in Africa and other places, Native American things like that, just think of it that way. Is it bad because they're using it to exploit and take advantage of people, or is it good because they're using it to help people? So, I don't know if that answered your question, and I don't have a side on that. I'm processing this after all these years because I see a lot of things, and so I'm not going to be judgmental, of what people do and what they don't do, as long as they're not hurting people.
And so do you think that, whether it's Africa or even certain circles, or if a church was to bring you in, they say, hey, you can come in, don't bring in that black magic though.
Right. And see, that's the thing. I had to do that. I'm like, look, this is what I do. Mm-hmm. This is what I do. It's not this black magic voodoo stuff. I don't know anything about that for the first thing. Or very little about it. So, but that's not what I do. And so what I tend to do is this. I show them a simple magic trick that they can get out of the library. And they're like, wow. And I said, well, let me show you how it's done. So I'm not really giving away any trade secrets that a professional magician would use. This is something a trick that a kid will learn in school during story time or something. And I'll just put a little twist to it. And I said, well, this is how it's done. Now, you remember a couple minutes ago, you were like, wow, that's impossible. What are you doing? But now you know how it's done. It's okay now. Okay, all right, let's start the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, in movies like, I think, The Prestige, I think that was one with Christian Bale. I love that movie. I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. But mix that line of, wait,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever, folks ever go to Africa, I don't play with the local, witch doctor or local doctor. I'm not playing with that because there's people who've created their whole fortune off, I don't want to say selling your soul, but people, it's a mix that certain things you don't want to go in that door because you may not come out.
That's how I am. I'm not going in that door. I'm not. So that's where I stand on that. But
yeah. Now you teach other magicians, and that was one thing that I remember when meeting Ice, and I was like 16, 17, and he explained how magic was so expensive. You had the schools, or you had to go underneath somebody. Has that changed now?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. It has changed because of technology. Like, it has changed everything. Magic still can be quite expensive. It depending on what genre. If you're dealing with illusions and props, yes, magic is very expensive. But because technology, people are having private one-on-one sessions and teaching people for a reasonable cost, affordable cost now. People are doing that. People are exchanging ideas. Just, hey, I came up with this idea. They'll email it to me or their friends or other magicians. People are getting together like how we are, and they're having these group sessions, as we call, where you may have 10 magicians on the line from all over the world, and we're like exchanging ideas. And so that way, that's free. You're not paying to learn a secret or anything. We're just, hey, I came up with this. I want to share it with you. And hey, feel free to use it. We're going to create something together today. So let's create it and all of us use it. So it has changed a lot on how people can learn magic. Gone are the days, well, for the most part, gone are the days where you study under some people. I still think that's the best way. Studying under someone, and books, as the old saying goes, the best, if you want to hide something, put it in the book. There's been times where I'm with some other magicians and I do a trick and I'm like, whoa, where did you get that from? And I'm like, oh, this is a book that was published in the 70s and it was hidden in this chapter. They're like, for real? I didn't know. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Now, with being able to do this, how often are you on the road? Are you on the road 150 days a week?
Are you a mind reader? Because that's exactly what it is.
Oh, okay.
I looked up when I was getting ready for my taxes and everything. I said, how many shows did I do this year? And it was like 150. I was traveling. Yeah. So it's a lot. There's some magicians who do it more. I don't know why. Woo! But that's a lot. That's a lot. But 150 is really good. Really good.
Oh, okay. And are you and I know you're going, international. Does that ever get, tiresome where you're like, you know what? I'm taking, the rest of the year off because I've been on the road? Or do you still have that, I'm going to get everything I can get, especially in a time like this where everything is locked down?
Right.
Does it ever get too much?
Yeah, but I don't have to I recharge quickly. So I would say, look, 2 weeks, I'll tell my wife, all right, 2 weeks. I'm not looking at magic, and I'm not thinking about magic, and I'm not doing magic. Where you want to go? It's just going to be just downtime. If we just want to stay home, fine. That's what we're going to do. That's it. I like traveling, but I don't like traveling. Let me explain. I like going to other states, other countries, other cities, visiting. I like to get there a day before. explore the land, find out what's good. What is it like to get my finger on the pulse as much as possible wherever I'm at? I just hate the flying part. TSA, they're always going through my stuff, asking all types of questions. And that's the part I don't like about flying, traveling. If I could drive, I prefer to drive.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How, and relationship wise, you have your wife. Does she come with you, or how does that work? Because many people who hit the road like that, you have to find that balance. You need to find it earlier. You're gonna have problems.
Right. Well, I was fortunate enough that I met my wife when I was in a PhD program. She has the PhD, so we call ourselves the magician and the scholar. So. And she was there when I left the PhD program and to pursue magic. So she understood what I was pursuing, and she's been very supportive of that. Very supportive of that. So there's been times where, for example, I was on a 30-day cruise, and I had my wife fly in and join me at one of the ports and get on the cruise with me for some time. And then when we got to the next port, she went home. So to keep that balance going on. And as I said, there's times when I said, look, I'm not doing anything for 2 weeks. It's all about you, honey, me and you. Forget, I'm not thinking about magic. I'm not answering an email, no phone calls from agents or anything. So I just, it's just me and her doing, having fun, whatever. But also when I'm traveling, sometimes it's not like back to back. So I may have a couple days in between. So I'm maybe in LA for a week at the Magic Castle, and then I fly home. I'm home for 3 or 4 days, and then I'm in Wisconsin for something else, and then I'll fly home and do that. So I just could be home, just to keep that balance and take care of things at home that needs to be taken care of. Because I think that's important to maintain that relationship with your spouse, particularly because she's very supportive of what I do, and I'm supportive of what she does. She works hard, and she has her own business in addition to her 9-to-5. She's a wedding planner, an event planner, and so she just kicked that off 3 years ago, and that's doing well. Well, now that's a different story, but yeah, it's doing well. So she's busy also. So yeah, it works out.
Okay. See, I would have cheated if I was her and said, wait, I got this wedding planning business. I'm going to bring in you and say, hey, I have someone who can do this for the wedding, that for the wedding.
Oh, she does that. She does that. She does that. Yes, she does. She has gotten me several gigs, weddings and different events. Yes.
Okay.
Done that. Yeah.
Okay. You would even have been the chaplain, and he can.
Exactly.
Yeah, we gonna make this business. It's gonna skyrocket because I got a hack that.
Exactly.
That is awesome. You ever, as a magician, especially with your wife, ever play any games where things may just any magic games, and she's like, okay, that was you.
No, I don't show my wife any magic tricks. The only time she sees magic is if she comes to one of my shows. I don't. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. I know too many magicians who magic is their entire identity. And they're always dragging their wives to magic shows, are always showing their wives magic, where the wives like, you know what, magic is your mistress. I'm out. Literally, I'm out. They divorce. And I'm like, that's not fair to anyone, because I know how I would feel if someone is just like, this is all I got to see here 24/7. Nah. So I made it a point earlier on in my career. I said, even before I got married, I said, any relationship I'm in, that's my job. I'm not going to bring my work home. I may talk about work occasionally, but no, I'm not going to bring it home. I'm cool. I'm cool.
Okay. Oh, and some of them make their, their wives their assistants.
That's great. That's great. I know a couple of people who are like that. That is great. That is great. Their wife is just as passionate about it as they are. Sometimes their wives are better than the magicians.
Oh.
Seriously, I've seen that.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. So you really know how to separate it, and magic is not your life. It's just what you do. Outside of magic, what are some of your interests, or do you have other business ventures that you've gone into?
Well, any other business ventures are related to magic, whether it's teaching, writing, those types of things, or consulting. That's side business, but it's related to magic. But my other things that I'm interested in, and brace yourself because everybody look at me like I'm crazy. I am a self-proclaimed connoisseur and historian on professional wrestling.
Okay.
Anything about professional wrestling, WWF, WWE, NWA, New Japan Wrestling, Lucha Libre Wrestling, that is my thing. Wrestling, politics, religion, and personal finance. Those are those four things that I'm passionate about, and I would talk about probably more than magic. Those things. And if I had to put it in the order, it will be a close tie between professional wrestling and personal money management and investing, and then religion, then politics. In that order.
Okay, so we need to then see you because I guess wrestling is a necessary thing. I think it was in Florida. You got it, Vince McMahon. We need to holler and say
we need to talk about that and see. When I say I'm into wrestling, I'm really into wrestling because and this is where wrestling and the politics coincide. Vince McMahon is a good friend of Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, Vince McMahon's wife, Linda McMahon, who ran for a political position in Connecticut, I think it was the governor. I believe it was governor or senator. She lost twice. Donald Trump appointed her the position of the Small Business Association.
Yeah.
She left that a year ago, and she's the head of a political action committee for Donald Trump. Now, Vince McMahon has his performance center in Florida, Orlando, Florida. And so they were planning on shutting it down for tapings because of the virus. Well, for some reason, the governor of Florida said, "Oh, we're going to open up." But when you look behind the scenes, why did Linda McMahon give the state of Florida $18 million?
Yeah. You
start to think about that. We know the connections. Let's connect the dots, follow the money, as they said. I'm gonna be honest. I may offend some people, but I'm okay with this. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. No, I'm not a fan of him at all. But my interest in wrestling, politics, and personal finance, this is where all this comes together. And you're looking at all this, you're like, wow.
Yeah, I remember when the SBA made her that because I was dealing with the SBA for something. And I love the SBA because we move around every 4 to 6 years and you need to connect. And those people.
Right.
But they were, all excited like some magic was going to happen. I said, unless I see, Jimmy Snookerfly or somebody, coming on. I mean, there's no magic. But the SBA did need an overhaul because the government, they're just so used to doing things in old school way.
Right. So when you look at all this stuff, it's all fascinating to me and how it's connected.
Yeah.
And the lesson in it is you really have to understand how money works and how it moves. Mm-hmm. And once you understand that, you can make the right decisions and position yourself so you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. That's what. But to me, there's also about wrestling. There's a relationship between wrestling and magic, and basically, to make it short, it's all about the suspension of disbelief, because you know it's not real. You're going to suspend all that, and you're just going to enjoy it, because we know these guys are not hitting each other for real. We know it's not a real fight. Now, of course, they do take chair shots, and it does hurt when they're jumping off being slammed on the mat. Yes, it does hurt. But and the outcome is predetermined. But anyone who's seen a fight, just look at mixed martial arts. This is nothing like this. This is choreographed. But we sit back and we just enjoy it. That's all it is. It's soap opera for men. You know?
I watch with my two little girls, and I tell them when we even watching Lucha Libre, because they really like that one, and we'll be on Pluto and we're watching that, and they're like, "Hey, it didn't look like he hit him." I said, "Just watch," because to me, I still got that kid mind of this is as real as it gets without somebody dying,
right?
And people have died, and
yeah. Unfortunately,
get it.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, yes, people have died.
Yeah, and people, I know there's magic tricks of like folks trying to copy Houdini who, have given their life for their art.
Yeah, there's a trick that 13 magicians have died from, maybe more now, but 13 because it was a book. And it's called the bullet catch. And essentially someone is firing a gun at you, and the trick is that you're supposed to catch the bullet in your mouth. Yeah. 13 people have died performing that trick. Literally died performing that trick. So, people can die. People got drowned. There's a trick that a few people got injured, and you can look this up on YouTube. It's called a roulette routine, where you have a spike hidden under covered with a bag, and there's 4 or 5 bags, and someone mixes them around, and you're smashing, trying not to hit the spike, but you don't know where it's at. Well, there's video out there where people are messing up, and you see the spike goes right through their hand. So there are tricks out there that can be detrimental to your health and your life that magicians are doing, and it's not fake. If you choose the wrong one, if your method is not sound, your hand's gonna be injured. If something goes wrong and you're tied up in chains and you're underneath this tank with water, yeah.
Everybody doesn't need to be and try to copy whoever they see on TV. Make sure right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And my last bit of question, I always like to ask people, because you can make the money, you can travel the world, but no one ever seems fulfilled unless they're giving back. So what is your community give back that you're doing or that you want to do in the future?
Okay, I could tell you that. All right. The most recent thing is me and my wife, we sit on this board of this organization called Build Jake's Place. It's a wonderful organization. We give our time and our money. Build Jake's Place builds playgrounds for children that have disabilities. So all the rides are customized for children. If a child is in a wheelchair, there's a customized swing where they can roll their wheelchair up and it swings. So they just like a child, if they just sit in a swing like that. And so there's all types of rides. We're in the process of raising funds to build a zip line for children with disabilities. So that's one of the things. The other thing I do personally is it's called Random Acts of Kindness. My name is Randy Random. You get it? Every year, October 18th, that's my birthday, I do Random Acts of Kindness. And what I do, unannounced, I would do something. So for the past couple years, this is what I've done. I gave money, a scholarship to 3 graduating high school students. I literally went in the streets of Philadelphia, found some homeless people, asked them what they want to eat, went and got it for them, and sat down exactly wherever they were and had a meal with them and paid for their shelter, for them to go into a shelter for a couple of weeks. Raised money for, well, not raised, gave money for a nonprofit organization that deals with HIV and AIDS, that helps the African American community. So every year I come up with something. The idea just had to, that the spirit just has to hit me like, Randy, this is the organization you're going to help. This is the person you're going to help. It's unannounced. I show up, random act of kindness. It's my birthday. This is how I celebrate my birthday every year, helping out, giving back to somebody or some organization. Now, the organization for that, I have strict criteria, personal criteria. It cannot be a large organization because it's easy for those large organizations like the United Way and the Red Cross to generate funds. It has to be a community-based organization that's out there really boots to the ground doing work, or someone who really is in need of something. And the way I see it is, because I got some kickback about what I do. And they said, oh, you should just do this stuff in private. You shouldn't be announcing it and everything. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as me doing it and saying that I'm doing it. Hopefully that will inspire someone else to do something on their own terms. That's the way I look at it. And if I can inspire someone else, say, hey, that's kind of cool what Randy's doing, I'm going to do that for my community or on this day or whatever. And so that way everyone gets an opportunity to give back. And I also believe that when you give back, and it sounds so counterintuitive, and years ago, ask me when I was in my 20s, it never made sense to me. But when you give back and you help someone, it comes back in ways that you don't even realize. It may not be financial, it may not be a gig, but it comes back to you in ways that you don't even realize. And you're like, yo, that's a good thing. But it also makes you feel good that you're able to help someone or organization. And that's very important, to help people. And you get to choose who you want to help. I'm not telling you who you help, as long as you help someone. Because we all need assistance at some point in time. It's not if, it's when. So that's how I look at it. And I think that's very important. I'm glad you brought that up.
You guys, we don't want to give you a game overload, but you've learned how to go with your passion, find your purpose. You found you got to live to give, or give to live. I mean, if you're not doing that,
I like that.
And you also need a team, and Randy has shown you all of those things in this interview, because so many times entrepreneurs are trying to do it themselves. You got to get a team. That means you have to pay a team. And you hear Randy talking about the 50-50. It's not just on the agents, it's on me. So you don't get a game overload. I hope you take notes. I want you to rewind, go back, so you can take it to the next level no matter what you're doing. Randy, I thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I know I talk a lot, but that's just my passion that's coming out. That's all.
Well, if you did it, that wouldn't be a good interview anyway, if you were just muting and miming. So that's what we need to be able to teach people to live in their purpose. And so you guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, comment, ask questions. But no game overload here. You've gotten the game. Be blessed.
Peace. Just 3 coins. These are $50. The reason why I use $50, if I use anything smaller, people could accuse me of hiding them between my fingers. That's not the case with this. 3, 2, 1. Coin number 1. That's 1 down, 2 to go. Coin number 2, if you listen, that leaves me with 1 coin. This coin right here. This coin is just going to travel from here back over to there. That's coin number 1. Coin number 2 is just about there, Kellen. Just look right there. And coin number 3, if you watch, as I slowly, it'll materialize right there. Coin number 3.
Awesome.
So Kellen, do you play cards? Any game of cards?
I used to.
That's good. That's good because I don't play any game of cards. I don't know how. I really don't.
Uh-huh.
But you're familiar with cards. You know the difference between the clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's the idea with this. I just had a little a gut feeling, my instincts, and I did something with a card in this deck. Name a card. Now, most people would name the aces or a face card. That's easy. Challenge me. Name a card.
3 of clubs.
3 of clubs. Remember I said I did something with a card in this deck?
Yeah.
Can you see the cards clearly?
Yeah, I see it.
All the cards.
Yeah.
You notice all the cards are facing one way except for one card only. And that card is the 3 of clubs.
That I love it. I love it, man.
Let's do one more. Do you have a calculator on your phone?
On my phone, yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me get this piece of paper. All right. Here we go. The eyes are the windows to the soul. It's also the windows to the conscious and subconscious. Kellen, turn on your calculator.
I got it.
Make sure I don't see it in the screen.
Okay.
All right. Think of a 3-digit number. Okay. But however, make sure the first digit is larger than the last digit. You'll see why in a moment.
Okay.
You got it? You typed in it. Don't say what it is, but you typed in a 3-digit number. The first digit is larger than the last digit.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hit the minus sign.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're going to reverse that number. For example, if you thought of the number 321, you're going to type in 123. So reverse that number.
Okay.
Let me know when you're finished.
I'm done.
Okay. Hit equal.
Got it.
So now you have a new number that you didn't even know that you would have. Correct? Yeah. Okay. Focus on that new number.
Okay.
All right. You have your glasses on, but keep them on. That's okay. But just look at me, look in the screen. As I said, eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah.
It's also the windows to the conscious and subconscious because we think in pictures, words, and numbers. That's what this is about. A little bit of numerology. Deep breath. Let it out. I got it. That new number, what is the first digit of that new number?
7.
I knew that. No, I did. I knew that first digit was 7. Kellen, what is the total? What is that number?
792.
Look right here. Exactly what I thought.
You are talented. And somebody could say, I'm glad you can't see my screen from the glasses because the way
nope.
I have it down and I know the reflection that can be seen. That I tell you, that's why the church is that can't be real.
That can't be real. That can't be real. Yeah, man. So yeah, man. Stuff like that. That's just some little basic stuff. But yeah, man. I could see doing stuff like that for people, putting it on YouTube, and even teaching some of that.